morning, good evening, depending where you are in the world. How are you all doing? So welcome to Brew with Blue. Haven't done one of these for a while. Sorry about that. And this wasn't what you were expecting this week at all. I know, I'm sorry. It is what it is, but things change and sometimes you have to roll with it and do what's right for you. Hi, Annette. How are you? That Annette from Urban Homestead. Guys, if you're not following her, please do go give her a follow. She's an awesome content creator here from Australia. So go give her a follow. So things have been changing, and mostly because I've been, possibly second guessing myself a lot, but also I've really wanted to do what is right. Hi, Rebecca. Suburban Hillbilly is in the house. Hello. So I've been doing a lot of thinking and a lot of pondering and a lot of stuff. The Wellness for Healthiness series, I've created a new channel for. For those of you who don't know. That happened 2 days ago. There isn't any content on it as yet, but there is a link to it right here. I've just got to get this right. Okay. So, I felt that it was going to go longer than the 30 weeks. And I felt if that was the case, then it deserved to have its own channel. Partly because I felt that on this channel, which is where I do my urban homesteading, and yes, we do look at that on a holistic level, starting with yourself and everything else, I would have to possibly censor myself. And I didn't want to have to do that. I wanted to do this in a way that was good for everybody. Oh, thank you. Thank you. So because I didn't want to put out people that are already here, I didn't want to upset people. I know there's a lot of farmers, a lot of homesteaders, a lot of people like that who follow me on here, and I didn't want to upset them, because in no way, shape or form was the Wellness for Healthiness series supposed to do that to anybody. And it wasn't to belittle what they're doing or what their belief systems are or anything. The point is that from a professional level, where I am a dietitian, nutritionist, herbalist, and naturopath, I needed to be able to tell the truth. And I needed to be able to do that in a way that some people are probably going to get quite upset about. So I felt that in a view for non-censorship, that it would be better to have its own channel, so that those who wanted to follow that and follow my journey and take their own journey could actually do so. So that's happened. That's absolutely right. What works for one person doesn't necessarily work for another. Live and let live. But my feeling on it is this: if there is information that is out there that is being touted that wrongly due to companies' marketing or organizations' marketing, so they're giving false information, especially when it comes down to nutrition and health, I feel that on a professional level, I have a responsibility to give out the correct information, and so that people can make an educated choice for themselves. Okay. So I felt that I couldn't really do that here to the level that I needed to be able to do it. I do to some degree, as you guys know, but I feel that it would be better off over there. So all the content for Wellness for Healthiness is going to be over there from now on. I am working on videos at the moment. There isn't anything there at the moment. Unless you're abusing an animal, a child, or an old person, or destroying property, I don't care. Mess with those things and I get madder than a wet hen. Yeah, see, I know. And I get that. But yeah, so the videos are going to take a couple more days than I was expecting. I have been very busy filming this morning. Unfortunately, my cat has decided that my feet are where she wants to be. And I took a tumble this morning. She decided that she was going to sleep. I went to move my tripod as part of the filming process, went to move that. The tripod's leg was stuck in a bag that belongs to the wood chipper. I know this is really the weirdest thing ever, okay? The cat was right under my feet. My right foot got stuck in a plastic bag that Tanny had left lying around, and I went down like a sack of spuds. And in such a way that I was holding onto the tripod and camera because it's my really, really good camera, which is worth quite a lot of money. And I've just figured out how to use it, so I didn't really want it to go, smashing on the ground. I managed to save the camera, but unfortunately I damaged myself. So they're going to take a little bit longer than I had hoped. I am okay, but I was hoping actually to do this live out in the dining room where I do all my filming and stuff. Unfortunately, I'm very uncomfortable sitting there because my back has completely compressed right back down again. And my hip actually got thrown out of joint. So I had to put that back in, which was fun. And I had to get back to the table somehow because that's where my phone was. It wasn't actually on me at the time. So yeah, that was fun. That was all kinds of fun. But again, it is what it is, and you just got to roll with the punches, right? So I've still been doing what I was doing because I've been having a foodie prep day. And thank you, Annette. I really do appreciate it. The cat is in the bad books at the moment and is staying away from me because she knows damn well that I'm probably going to call her lots of names. Considering when I landed on the floor, she was sitting, she walked right around me. She walked right around me and started giving herself a bath. So I was like, oh, I see how it is. I see how it is. Yeah, okay. I see how it is. Yeah. Yeah, problem with telling Tanny to pick up his crap is it's partly my thing too. We're both neurodivergent. He's very ADHD and dyslexic. And so I'm autistic and have ADHD, and we both have executive dysfunction. So when it comes down to having doom piles around the place, it's both of us that are responsible, and both of us who have the same issues. So we try really hard to keep things tidy, and it usually means that if someone's coming around, we will run around like mad things, trying to make the house some kind of presentable. So yeah, it's not an easy task, but we do muddle through the best way we possibly can. Yeah, the cat's okay. She's fine. She was just sitting there looking at me and decided that her butt needed cleaning. So, mum can't move, but, yeah, she had to wash the human feet off her precious fur. I know, cheek. And this is the other thing, right? Okay, we all know that cat is addicted to cheeseburgers in particular, and we have tested this. It has to be from McDonald's, all right? Burger King won't work. She only likes KFC from the bucket, and she'll only eat cod from the fish and chip shop. She won't have haddock. She'll just have cod. But yeah. So she very, very strongly told us last night she wasn't going to eat her dinner. She wanted a cheeseburger. And she did this in the following way, right? I picked up my phone just to have a look at a game that I was playing, because that's part of my stemming is I use my phone, the games on my phone. And I play Candy Crush. Okay, that's a stem for me. That's what I do. And she started meowing at me. And I'm like, but I've just fed you, you know? And she's like, she's looking at me, looking at the phone, looking at Tanny. And I'm like, what is she doing? And he goes, have you not figured it out yet? And I went, no. And then she starts licking her lips. She starts licking her actual lips, right? And then she jumps right up on Tanny, which she never does, okay, because she's 20. She doesn't like jumping on things. She jumps up on Tanny, right on his lap, and meows in his face, runs to the front door, leaps right off him, over the coffee table, and sits at the front door looking at it, meowing at him and I, licking her lips. And I'm like, so I guess she wants a cheeseburger then. Oh. So we get her a cheeseburger, right? Okay, we get her a cheeseburger. Most expensive cheeseburger there is, because we had to pay delivery on top of it, okay? So I'm sitting there because I have to break it up for her because she's got no teeth. So you can't just give her a cheeseburger. She's not like a dog that will just sit there and woof it. Do you know what I mean? You've got to actually break it up. So I'm sitting there with my thumbnail. I'm breaking it up into tiny little crumbles for her. And you have to make sure that she gets the cheese, right? If she doesn't have the cheese on it, she won't eat it. So you have to make sure she's got the cheese. So I've got all this gunky stuff on my finger. And because I'm not doing that stuff anymore, I'm not really eating that stuff. She, I can't lick my thumb, so I'm having to wipe it off. And it's just not, it's not pleasant, shall we say. And I put it down like she normally likes it, because if you put it in her bowl or you put it in her special food bowl, she's got two bowls. She's got one for her normal food, one for her special treats, okay? If you put it in her treat bowl, she won't eat it. She has to have it on the burger paper, right? Weirdest cat on the planet, I'm not going to lie. So put it down on the burger paper. She looks at it. She looks at me, takes one sniff, and walks off. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you really? What? Oh my God. And Daddy's like sitting in there with his chin hitting the floor, laughing himself stupid while he's munching on his Big Mac, right? And I'm just sitting there going, wow. I hope you two are happy. I just went back to my Candy Crush. And then we come out in the morning, because sometimes she goes back to it. She hadn't touched it. She hadn't touched any of it. None of it. So something was up with that cheeseburger last night, because she would not touch it. Oh, gosh. So anyway, I got over that ridiculous story anyway. So Annie says, after spending time in the garden this morning dividing onions, my back was killing me. Yeah, I'm not surprised, darling. Compressed discs and arthritis in my back, and now my hip pain overload. Totally get you. That's exactly where I'm at right now, because I had to put my hip back in. Tanny's like, I need to call an ambulance. I said, I ain't calling an ambulance, because I'm not sitting in the car park of the hospital for 8 hours. Thank you. I'm not doing it. So, that happened. Yeah, you need to rest, sweetheart. Yeah, overdoing it. Yeah, we all do that. We do. At the moment, half my fridge is sitting on the couch, because I brought all the veg and fruit and everything out so that I could do all the food prep and stuff. I managed to get quite a lot done today, to be fair, because the way I see it, food prep is really important, and especially if you're changing the way that you eat, okay? Because it means that you can go to the fridge in those moments where you just open up the fridge and you're just scanning, okay? You know those moments where you don't know what you want, but you need to scan the fridge, and you'll stand there in front of the fridge scanning, and of course you'll grab the first thing that comes into your hand, right? Because the quickest thing to make, the quickest thing to eat, especially for someone like me who's ADHD, the first thing you want to grab something that's not going to take you a lot of time to put together. If you're hungry, if you finally get that hunger pang, because I can go 2 days without having that, 2-3 days, without being told, my body telling me that I need to eat, right? So once you get that and you start the scanning process at the fridge, you know, you grab the things that are the easiest to do, that aren't going to take you long, that you can just grab and go kind of thing. So I spent this morning making salads and roasting off vegetables. I haven't got as far as I wanted to, but you know, I've got quite a bit done. But of course the rest of my fridge is now sitting on the couch because I can't pick up the drawer to put it back in the fridge. And I still have a salad to make for dinner, because the types of salads that I make are the kind of things that I really like, but Tanny won't eat. He won't touch with a 10-foot pole. Okay. So he is a lettuce, tomato, cucumber, onion man. That's it. Maybe spring onions if you're lucky. Okay, so green onions or whatever you guys call them. Yeah. So those, and that's his idea of salad. So yeah, I've still got to do those. I was going to make him a chicken schnitzel because I bought some chicken on the weekend and I want to make sure that it gets used. So I've got a couple of things I wanted to make for him, but I was hoping to get them all done this morning. But you know, ending up on my butt was not exactly the best way to get that to happen. So yeah, so I'm still a bit behind, but I'm getting there. Suburban Hillbilly says, I'm dreading going to the airport later today. If son gets off work in time, I'm going to try and get him to pick up his dad. That airport is bigger than many cities. It's absolutely insane and sends me into a panic attack. And then the pain issues with driving with my back and feet. Yeah, no, I totally get that, darling. I totally understand that. I really, really do. Do you know what is out in my garden right now? And I cannot get to that part of the garden and bend down to get to them. Are my first red raspberries. It's okay, honey. I speak typo. It's fine. I'm fluent in typo. So, yeah, I've got my first red raspberries. Now, the whole last 4 years that I've been running my channel, people have seen that I've had golden raspberries. There's actually 2 golden raspberries sitting out there, and there's about a handful of red raspberries. And I'm like, I want my raspberries, and I can't get to them. I can't get to them. And it's gutting. I really want them. But, you know, it is what it is. And maybe tomorrow, I'm hoping that tomorrow morning I will be able to get out there and do something about those. But also, I will give you a little... Yeah, anxiety does suck. It really, really does. I also, when I was out, because I was out watering the garden this morning before any of this stuff happened, 4 o'clock this morning, I'm outside watering the front garden. And I discovered that a couple of our squash plants are poking their little heads up. So I'm very excited. The ones that me and Bam planted the other week, they're starting to pop their little heads up. So I'm really hoping they'll continue to do that. I've got some really good amendment stuff to put in the ground or to water them with, including some fermented stuff that I've done. And I'll be putting all the, one of the things that I do, because we don't have a composting system set up yet, we haven't really decided what kind of thing that we want to do with that. So what we've done is, what I do is I put all the leftover veg stuff in the food processor, blitz it down to a watery mess, and I put it straight on the garden. Okay. Now, I've actually found that this works really amazingly well. And if you leave it in a bucket to ferment for a couple of days, it actually does amazing things, because obviously you're creating that bacteria, the good bacteria, the sort of ferment type microbes, galore bacteria, which is what we all want. And, you know, that's a good thing. That's a really, really good thing. So I'm going to give all the front a load of that, because I've got half the watering can filled with that at the moment. But I also have something that was sent to me by my friend Scott over at Cuckoo Cottage. Now, this stuff. This is super soil. Do I dehydrate? I do. I do dehydrate. I have a dehydrator that at the moment is filled with frozen vegetables, because I need to make my own veg stock bouillon powder. And so it's actually full to the brim right now, with frozen veg and some herbs that I had left over in the fridge. So I need to do that and add some nutritional yeast to it. I'll probably add a bit of salt and pepper to it, because I use whole salt. I don't use like table salt or anything like that. And yeah, so I've got to do that yet. But this stuff, can I just tell you that if you can get your hands on this, get your hands on it. All right. Now, it's freeze-dried microbes for the soil. Okay. Now, this 100-gram pouch, which is, let me see, 100 grams, 2 ounces, is 3.5 ounces. Okay. All right. 3.5 ounces. A tenth of this will do 40, I think it's 40-foot square, 40-foot square garden. And you could do that every 3 months. So that would do my entire garden, both front, back, and the greenhouse, 10 times. But I'm because my soil's really, really awful right now. I'm thinking I'm going to give it a bit of an overdose. Now, I don't think that's a bad thing, okay? Because, like I said, the soil is awful. It really is. This is made in Ireland. It's created in Ireland. The guys from there created it from Ireland. It's absolutely amazing. A kilo bag of this does an acre. Does a whole acre. Can you imagine? Can you imagine that? That'd be awesome. I've heard of the brand of product, but never used it. I used mycorrhizal fungi this year, and it's amazing. Yeah, no, that's an awesome thing. I actually, because all our paths out the front are wood chip, I'm actually thinking of getting some fungi spawn and inoculating the pathways at the edge of the beds with fungi, because I figure that's a good thing. Annie, yes, get a dehydrator. They're really awesome, darling. But what I will tell you is this: save your money and get the best one you possibly can. Okay, and if you get one that's you want to get a square one with the front door on it, with the pull out shelves, which is they're catering grade ones. Okay, so they are created to be used 24/7, 365 days a year. Okay. Obviously, you won't have to do that. And they have a 10-year lifespan on them if you use them like that. But if you're using it just for home use, and the chances are that you're going to not be using it like that, except for maybe during harvest season, or if you find bits and pieces, you know, that's going to last you a lifetime. It's going to last you a lifetime. And this is one of the things that a lot of people don't think about. Yeah, fan in the back and temperature controlled as well. Exactly. So you can do other things. See, mine, mine's the Buffalo brand. I'll see if I can find it. And if you can find something similar, Buffalo dehydrator. This is my one. Okay, so let me see if I can. I'm gonna share my screen, okay? All right. Nope, that's the wrong one. Screen. That one. Okay, we're gonna get there. Okay. There we go. So this is the one that I have. Okay. And honestly, you can actually do everything from it's got hanging points on the top, so you can put little hooks in it to hang jerky. But it also has a setting to make yogurt or yogurt, however you say it. So you can do everything in it. Absolutely everything in it. Yes, it's an investment. But some of the home ones cost that much, and they're gonna crap out in like 3 years. So it's like you may as well spend the money and get the best one you possibly can. So yeah, that's the one that I have. You can find similar ones all over the place. So yeah, I would see what you can find. See what you can find, darling. Seriously. I had an LEM. It was good, but took forever. I now use a 6-trace Kosori, and it was so wonderful. I don't want to promote other channels here without Blue's permission. Go ahead. You have my permission. As long as it's not something dirty. So, okay. Not anything that's naughtier than I am, okay? But anything else, go for it. So yeah. So yeah, if you look at one that's going to be like that, like I said, it is an investment, but you got to look at it as an investment, because if you're going to be growing your own food, you want to be able to dehydrate it. And if the one you purchase that costs the same amount as the other one, because it's a home one, you know, dies a death. The purposeful pantry, yeah. Yep. Yeah. Let's see if we can find her link. Hang on. Purposeful oh, there we go. Straight away. Cool. Oh, no, sorry, darling. I can't have you going off, but here we go. Hey, Heidi, how you doing? There we go. There's the link right there. So, yeah, she has a lot of stuff on dehydrating right there. There's just millions of it. So much of it. So, yeah. Oof. Gosh. Yeah, doing good, darling. Just taking it easy and just kicking along, and, you know, the usual. You know, just doing along, doing the stuff. Okay, so yeah, so she's got a lot of stuff on dehydrating. Also look at Daz. Daz has got some stuff on dehydrating. I know that Leanne over at Mennonite Farmhouse, she's got some stuff on dehydrating. I've got a little bit on dehydrating, don't have a shocking lot on it. But I will be, hopefully, shortly, now that I've cleaned my bench off. Because Tanny will do the dishes, but he forgets all the jars. You know, so you got all these jars lined up on the bench and there's no room for dishes. So they're being like stacked up. So I've done all the dishes. I've done most of the jars. I'm almost got my bench back. So, yeah, I'm hoping to get that all finished off, which would be really awesome. You're getting your kitchen back on Monday? Awesome, Heidi. That's fantastic. She has a family with taste and texture issues, so she does a lot of powders to add nutrition to everything, and that's a great idea. The one thing I will say, though, soft herbs and herbs in general, don't put them in the dehydrator, and I will explain for why. Okay? I bet you're excited. I would be too. Okay, so if you put herbs in the dehydrator, it actually cooks the essential oils in there, and it dulls the flavor, or it can turn them bitter. So, you know, I've had really bad experiences with things like sage and rosemary. Also, but like, I mean, saying that, I don't mind putting soft herbs in there for things like doing vegetable stocks because it doesn't bother me. So yeah, it's always a crapshoot really, but it just depends on the situation. But if you want if you want your herbs to be like for teas and for adding to stocks and, you know, seasonings and making your own herbs and spice blends and things, you want to keep as much of that flavor in as possible, and those essential oils are really important for that. So yeah, you want to just air dry them. I just get bunches of them and wrap some string around. I think I've done a video on it like a couple of years ago, and then just hang them up. It takes a couple of weeks, not gonna lie, but you know you see all those pictures from old world kitchens and stuff, and you know, little cottages with all their herbs and flowers and everything hanging up. That's kind of what my house looks like at times. She says the same thing. Yeah. Baby food helps as an additive for nutritional value. It can do, but if it's a texture issue, like I don't know her very well personally, actually. But if it's a texture issue due to something like neurodivergence, baby food won't work. The only thing I've dehydrated so far is beef jerky. Hubby and daughter enjoyed it. Awesome. Yeah, I was just talking about that. Like, I can do beef jerky. I can do any kind of jerky in my dehydrator because I've got little hooks on there, and I can actually do quite large pieces hanging in my dehydrator, which I think is really awesome, actually. I think that's kind of a really good thing to do. It takes so long. Yeah, I know. Which is why I don't like having my dehydrator running in the winter, because we've got solar panels, but our solar panels are actually attached to the grid. So, during summer, where I live here in York in the UK, we only have 3 or 4 hours of dark time. So I can literally have the dehydrator running all the time, okay? Because it's not going to cost us a lot of money to run. However, if we didn't have that, it would cost me about a tenner a day to run it. And there's no way that I could afford that. You know, it's just like, no, not going to happen. So I prefer to do it that way. But I also don't mind drying things outside either. And I'm hoping to pick up a couple of drying racks for outside. They almost look like yeah. So because we've got the solar panels are attached to the grid, so they only work while they're actually charging electric. So yeah, I need to make use of that as much as possible. I put a brown paper bag over them before I hang them. Keeps the floating pet hair out. Lol, truth. Yes. Thankfully my cat doesn't jump like that, so I don't have that much of an issue, and she is a British short hair, so she doesn't tend to have that much hair. Do you use net insect bags when you dry outside? Sometimes. Hey Rochelle, how you doing? Sometimes. I tend to, when I lived in Australia, we had this tiny little veggie patch in Australia in one of our houses that we lived in, and we used to grow volunteer tomatoes every single year from the compost heap. And they would literally take over the entire thing, and we'd be getting, the big ice cream containers, the really, really big ones. We'd get one of those every single day. Okay, so we were getting one or two of those every single day. And so I started drawing them out. So what I did was I used an old fly screen door on a couple of trellises, like workhorse type trellis, and just left them out to do their thing. Just left them there to do it. So yeah, that was kind of cool. But you didn't usually find that the insects worried about them too much. So I didn't really think about the insect issue too much, and I've dried a lot of stuff outside just in baskets, kind of like the way that they do in China, where they've just got like bamboo baskets, the flat ones, and then they just put all the stuff in there and just stick it out in the sun, and away it goes. So yeah, but I haven't had a problem with it. But then where I live here, we've got no humidity, which is why the heat is so nasty, because there's no humidity to balance it off. It's just a dry, solid heat. So yeah, it's kind of worthwhile doing it. Yeah, baskets are good, especially those flat bamboo ones. They are aces. They are the best thing ever. Okay. Popping out in a second, so popped in to say hi. That's all right, darling. You take it easy. It's good to see you. Suburban Hillbilly, I can't dry outside here. It's too humid. Mold can be an issue. Yeah. Australia Daz, he just sent me a box of goodies. I tried Vegemite. Tastes like ramen. Yeah, it is. It does have that very distinct umami-ness to it, which is really good because it goes well in like brown gravies and stews and meaty type soups. It's very good for things like that. Just to put a little bit in it, just to give it that little something, Dry heat is better for you. Do you know what? I'll swap you, Rochelle. I will swap you. Yeah, I'll swap you any day of the week, because where we lived in Queensland, we used to have 90, 95, 99% humidity, 100% humidity, and I was cool with it. Not a problem. I'd be out there 42, 43, 44, 45 degree heat, Celsius, which, hang on a second, 45 Celsius in Fahrenheit is 113 degrees Fahrenheit, just so that you know. And it didn't bother me. Here, we jumped 15 degrees. So last week it was around about 16 degrees last week, which is about 60 Fahrenheit. Okay. And then on the weekend, it jumped to 34, which is 93.2. And it literally did that overnight. It literally did that overnight. There was no lead up to it, which is what you get like in Australia. There's like it's a slow rise and then it's a slow drop. Here it's wham and it's dry and it's like, what? Also nowhere has air conditioning over here. There isn't okay, so the shops here they put their heating system down to 4 degrees thinking that will make it cooler in the shop. Yeah. That's no. And because our houses are all insulated because of how cold it gets in winter, they're a heat trap. And like I said, there's no air conditioning. So you're like, what do we do? What exactly do we do? We have to start thinking along the lines of physics here and start doing fancy things with fans. Like you have one fan that has like frozen Coke bottles, little baby ones on the back. So it's pulling in the cold air and pushing it out. And then you have another fan pointed outside an open window. So it's dragging all the hot air out the window. And that's probably the best you're going to get over here. And I mean, we do have like a little air conditioner that you could put water and ice in, like an air cooler. But honestly, we haven't been bothered to put it on, and it's still sitting in the living room waiting to be switched on, but it's still got the plug sitting on the top of it. Haven't even plugged it in. So, that's a thing. So, yeah. But the other thing with it is this. We now have the greenhouse out in the back garden. Okay. So the greenhouse has been causing issues with some of the plants because of the radiating sun off the greenhouse. My blueberry plant, my blueberry bush is the biggest it's ever been. It had, when I looked at it, probably 3 weeks ago, it had probably over 150 blueberries that were going to come onto it. We had one day of sunshine and it scorched that poor plant to where I wasn't sure if I could save it. It scorched it so badly that all the leaves turned brown, or mostly brown. So where they had only about that much green left, so just a tiny, there you go, tiny bit of green left on the bottom of the leaf. So every day I've been going out every morning and just dumping like a gallon of water on this thing just to get it to come back. And that it's coming back, which is great, but I've lost this year's blueberry harvest. There's no way I'm going to get that back. That's not going to happen. The other thing is I've got 5-year-old or 4-year-old, I think it's 4-year-old chestnut trees that I've been growing. They've also got scorched because the sun rebounded off the greenhouse, off our bedroom window and straight onto the trees. So yeah, that wasn't fun. So we have to move things around in the greenhouse, in the garden this weekend, and look at where the safest place for some of these plants are, because that's just not going to be an okay thing. Let's have a look. I want to dehydrate any of veggies so they are shelf stable. Absolutely, that's awesome. That's what I was thinking. Soup or stew, yeah, with the Vegemite. Yeah, go for it. Yep. Dry heat makes it feel cooler. The humidity makes it hotter to a degree. Not for me. I don't know. And he says, I hate the hot weather, prefer the cold weather. And it gets so cold for me that I literally can't move. I'm literally trapped inside my house during winter here. Because if I go outside, all my joints seize. And I just can't do it. That humidity sounds like Georgia. Wasn't a problem till I turned 50. That changed everything. 113, I'd be a puddle on the ground or probably just turn to dust. Yeah, it kind of did feel like that at sometimes. Suburban hillbilly. I love this. Okay, women of a certain age need air conditioning, if not for themselves, then to keep their loved ones alive. That's brilliant. Absolutely, bro. So true. It's going to be hard for the plant to recover. It will, but the one thing that I do see as a bonus at this point is that it is deciduous. So all those half-dead leaves are going to fall off in winter. And so it'll be able to start again in the spring. I'm going to give it a trim just to make sure that any of the stalks that might be a little bit dead on the ends, I'm going to snip all those off. I don't want to trim it too hard, but I want to give it a fighting chance for next year. So, yeah. Heidi says, same here, Blue. I'm not so good in the very cold anymore. Very hot or very cold, I'm indoors. Yeah. Well, that's just the way it is, isn't it? Yeah, that's it. But, yeah, did you guys know, I've got to tell you this, you're gonna squeal when I tell you this, right? Did you know that menopause as we know it now has only been happening since the 1970s? Yeah. It was not, it didn't happen the way that we have it now, not to the same degree. Yes, there were issues and the occasional hot flash and, this and that. But I've spoken to the older women in my family. When I did a lot of my training, I had to ask about certain things. And because I was doing a thesis on women's health and that kind of stuff to do with the dietitian stuff and the nutritionist stuff. And they all said to me, I don't understand what's going on because we never went through that. We never had the brain fog. We never had the issues like that. We never had the hormone issues that you guys seem to be having. We never had, there wasn't a lot of pain involved. There wasn't a lot of joint issues involved. There wasn't a lot of bone issues involved. Osteoporosis almost wasn't a thing. And now the only things that people can put it down to is the fact that we eat very, very differently to what they did then. We eat different things than we used to do then. And a lot of our food is wrapped in plastics. And the plastics cause major issues to women's hormones. Major issues. There was also no such thing as the pill before the 1970s. And it certainly wasn't given to anyone under the age of 24, 25, because you had to get your parents' permission to get it, or you had to get your husband's permission to get it. And if they didn't give you their permission, well, you couldn't have it. It wasn't a thing. So it didn't exist. So all of a sudden, we're pumping ourselves full of hormones. We've got microplastics all the way through our foods. We're eating completely differently in a completely different way to the way we did. We're using loads more chemicals than we ever have in history. All of that stuff. And all of a sudden, women are having major issues when it comes down to being perimenopausal. I think it's all the chemicals in our food. That is part of it. But there are I mean, this, like I said, this is stuff that I will go into at some point on my Wellness for Healthiness channel. You know, that's something that I will go on to there into greater detail. Yeah. I have all of it. It's real, and I've been miserable for years. I refuse to take Premarin for obvious reasons. Yeah, no, I get it. I totally get it. What I have found that has helped me, and as you guys know, I wasn't very well last year, and that was very much to do with all these issues, women's issues. One thing that I found that has helped me incredibly, and I know that it's weird, okay? It's a weird one, but I thought, do you know what? If it's worked for my sister, it's got to work for me, okay? And that's maca root. Now, maca root, let's see if we can find it. Maca root. Okay. So let's see if I can pull this up. Is that a worthwhile? Okay. Yep. All right. I'm going to share this. Since we're all girls here, you know, I don't think we've got any fellas in the house. Okay. All right. Loading, show on screen. There we go. Okay, benefits of maca root. Now, the maca root is from Peru. Now, I don't normally advise anything that is outside of your local location, okay, because I try and find options. Can we just get rid of that? I try to find options that are closer to home, okay, because it's always going to be better for you, all right? But this stuff, okay, this stuff right here, and I know that I've been doing other things, but they did not have the effect that this stuff had when I started making smoothies with this probably 2 weeks ago. Now, I know that's not a very long time, okay? I know that's not a very long time. But the weekend before last, I desperately wanted a chocolate smoothie or chocolate milkshake, and I couldn't have one. So I got really peeved, okay? I was cranky. As all get out. So I got myself some cocoa, some Dutch cocoa, and I got some of the maca root. Now, the maca root powder kind of has a malt flavor to it, okay, like a malt, almost coffee, Horlicks almost flavor to it. It's weird, but it works, okay? So I put a tablespoon of that in the smoothie that I made, and I did that with oat milk because that's what I had. And over the next 2 days, I was like, I slept for 7.5 hours. I don't sleep for longer than about 6 hours, absolute outside. But for the next 3 days, I slept for 7.5 hours, almost 8 hours. In fact, one of those days I did sleep for 8 hours. And the reason that I know I did is because I've got a CPAP machine and it tells me how long that I've been asleep for. So with the mask in place. So I looked over and there it was. And I'd been sleeping for hours. I don't do that. The other thing was I'm feeling more awake. I'm feeling more focused in my head. Boys, if you're watching this, shut your ears now because it ain't for you. It's just for us girls, okay? But my last moon cycle, I'm going to call it moon cycle for those who have got sensitive hearing and stuff, was actually relatively normal. Now, I've only been having a tablespoon of that every 2 days. And yet, all of a sudden, I'm sleeping better. My function is better. Like, my brain function is better. Although it's been hot, I haven't been having hot flashes, if that makes sense. I also haven't been having cold flashes either. You know, I'm more clearer in myself and I feel better in myself. You know, which is really, really good. And, you know, my energy levels have been way back up, you know, which is why I thought, oh, yeah, I'm going to go and do the food prep today. Well, I already did 3 loads of washing up and cleaned the stove, cleaned down all the tables, and still did food prep before I was stopped to. And normally I'd have to do one of those things. I wouldn't be able to do all of those things. I would only be able to do one of those things. Now, whether it's the maca root, I can't tell you. But what I do know is this. Of everything that I've been having in the last couple of months that I've been moving over into a plant-based diet way of eating, the most significant change to my mental well-being and to my women's health has been after I've been taking the maca root. That's the biggest change that I've found. You don't need to have more than a tablespoon every couple of days. Okay. So I totally get it. And what have you. I completely get how miserable you are, darling. I really, really do. You can get it anywhere, and you do buy it just as a powder form. You just get it like this stuff. And it's just, honestly, I would give it a try. Because if anything that helps at this point, it's got to be a good thing, right? Because it's an investment in your health, in your well-being. I think it costs, for me, it was like £8 a kilo. £8 sterling. That's our money. A kilo. But like I said, you only use a tablespoon every couple of days, you know, so yeah. And you can add it into, like, if you're making muffins, you can add it into all sorts of stuff. Like, so if you're doing bread making and stuff, you can add it into bread making. You can do all of that kind of stuff. You know, all of that kind of thing. So Bloo the walking encyclopedia, lol. Yeah, that's that would be yeah, that's because I found that in winter I used to get SADS, which is seasonal anxiety disorder, kind of, or seasonal activated depression. And the way that I combat that is by learning, by finding something to learn. So I expand on the qualifications I already have, and I start doing that. That's what I do in winter, is I get another qualification, you know, or I do another course, or I do something like that, and that helps me with that. It's hard to function some days, but I push myself as much as I can. No, I get it. Have to be honest, I never really had any symptoms. I think it was because I gave up meat because I really didn't change anything else. Oh, that's fair enough. But that makes sense as well, because the meat that we have now is so pumped full of growth hormones. Okay, so it's actually illegal to use growth hormones in the production of meat, okay? Worldwide, it's not supposed to happen. But the companies that created the growth hormones have created them in such a way now that they create the people who do the industrialized farming, all they have to do is before the animal goes to be processed is a week before, 5 days before, 5 days before, stop giving them the growth hormone. And it won't come up in the blood test. The problem is that it's still in the meat. It's still going around the system. It's just not in the bloodstream, but it's still in the system of the animal. So it's slightly different. Yeah. So that's a thing. It is a thing, and it's awful. It really is. The stuff that they put into our animals, you got no idea, and it's absolutely terrifying. Obviously, that doesn't happen if you're growing your own, shall I say, or raising your own animals, and pasture raising them or whatever. But in a lot of shop bought feeds and stuff like that, it's still in there, but to a smaller extent. Yeah, so you just got to watch it and see what's in the ingredients of what you're getting. Have to be honest, okay. I'll try it. Black cohosh didn't help. Red clover helped me, but I found it the hard way not to take red clover if you're on low blood pressure. Yeah. Okay. So self-medicating with herbal medicine is great, but you have to do your research. You have to do your research, okay? And there's a lot of contraindicators. Now, one, for example, that is really popular with people to combat depression is St. John's wort, okay? But it has the longest list of contraindicators of all of the herbal medicines that are available off the shelf. It's got the highest risk. Okay, so if you are, say for example, if you're on the pill, it means that the pill will no longer work. So you will find that it completely negates the pill, and you could end up in trouble, or you could end up in other issues. It affects probably 80% of pain medication, antibiotics, all kinds of other blood pressure medications, epilepsy medications, anything to do with if you're taking nerve blockers and stuff like that, it'll stop them from working. If you're taking heart medication, it can make it work too hard, or it can make it not work at all. There's a lot of stuff that you have to take in consideration. So just taking something because you heard it was good, you really need to do a lot of research into it beforehand, especially if you are taking medications. They should have asked you. One of the first things that I do if I take on a new patient or client as a herbalist, is the very first meeting that we have is talking about their medicines and their medical history. And that is expected. If you don't have someone who does that, then go to somebody else. Okay? It's really important. And it should be someone who'd be willing to work with your doctor. Okay? Because it's there to help. But the doctors have a lot more information than many herbalists do. I mean, I've got my own copies of PIMS, which are the, prescribed medication thingies. But yeah, absolutely. If you go to a naturopath or a herbalist or any kind of natural healing, the very first consultation has to be all about your health, what your past medical history is, what your now medical history is. You need to hand over a list of your medications, all of that stuff. And talk to your doctor about it and say, look, I want to do this. I want to try this. Let's give it a go. But I'd be willing for her. And if your herbalist isn't willing to work with them, then you might want to talk to somebody else. See you later, honey. Have an awesome one. It was lovely to see you. Have fun with the electrician. Yeah. So yeah, no, it is really important, darling. Yeah, there's so many out there. Like, okay, so here in the UK, it's very different to the States. Now, in the States, you can self-teach yourself, and you can just go and start treating people. Okay, here in the UK, you have to be qualified, and you have to have a proper diploma and be registered. Okay, so you have to be a registered herbalist, and then you have to have insurance on top of that. Now, so that if anything happens, like with your blood pressure meds, you have a way of coming back, okay, and being covered by that and all that kind of thing. So, you know, it's really important. So herbalists here are very, very careful about the kind of advice that they give out. They follow a very strict code of conduct. Okay. That doesn't mean, like, so for example, I was studying herbalism for 20 years before I actually got my piece of paper. I was studying it for 20 years. I was using it for 20 years before I even bothered getting my piece of paper. And I only got my piece of paper because I was like, oh, yeah, why not? I'll just add it to the list of things that I've got, you know. So really just but the problem is as well is that, okay, so one of the really best US-based herbalists that I know of is someone who has a channel on YouTube and on Instagram, and she's called She of the Woods. Okay, let me see if I can find her. Yep, found her. Okay, now she is amazing. And she encourages everybody to self-teach, okay? But to be careful in doing so and make sure that you do your research properly. But she does a lot of really great content, and she's an amazing human being, and I will absolutely shout her out every single time. I would have a chat with her, or just go through her content and learn from her. But there are really good books out there. And if you're interested in learning, I can give you a list of the best books to go and have a look. The problem is with a lot of the courses that are out now, that unless they're actually certified courses, and they have to be certified to a level, to be a proper certified course, it has to be attached to an official body. Okay, so if there isn't an official body, anyone can put out a course and all of a sudden you're a herbalist. Okay, so that's what she's trying to combat, and I get that because over there it's different. Here, where I got my qualification, it is attached to the British, what's it called? Oh, good gosh. Oh, this word. Words are hard, guys. Not alternative. It's not alternative therapies. It's it's an organization that you're registered to help with doctors. So you're working side by side with doctors, basically. So yeah. So we have to do that. And I've spoken to April a few times, and she is lovely. She is amazing, and I adore her. And he says, I spoke to my doctor yesterday about going plant-based. She recommended it as she has seen positive results with type 2 diabetes. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yep. It is amazing. for type 2 diabetes. So, yeah. You're welcome, darling. No problem. So, yeah. Anywho, guys, I'm going to take off because I'm going to have to go and take some meds. And I'm going to have to get Tanny's dinner ready for him because he's going to be home soon. So, I call them brain farts. Yeah, I still can't think the words. I tell you what, 3 o'clock in the morning, I'll think of that word and I'll let you know. Okay, so tomorrow, tonight for you guys in the US, tomorrow for me, I'm going to be over on Tony's channel. We're going to be doing a pop-up Friday night live, late night live. So I'm going to be over there. But like I said, it's been a bit of a week. So we'll just see how we go. Yeah, thanks, darling. You too. You take it easy as well, okay? You look after yourself. So, yeah, we're doing that. Don't forget that there is Jam It Up June that is running at the moment. There's a playlist on both Tony's and my channels. So if you haven't checked those out, those amazing channels with their yummy, yummy, yumminess, please do go ahead and do that. And the Small Space Gardening collaboration should be coming out on the last day of the month. So you go and check out that playlist because, you know, there's a lot of really good information. There is a really load of good information. And this month is all about pest control. So, you know, it's always good. Get some rest if you can, and I hope you feel better. Thank you, darling. I really do appreciate that. I will see you guys later on. Have a really, really awesome rest of your day. And just take it easy and enjoy yourselves, all right? I love you guys heaps. Bye.